Hello again, investors. I'm Dr. Quentin.
And I'm Doug. Welcome to DR Dialogue, where conviction drives change. We promised it, and now we're delivering it. We are delighted today to welcome our first guest to DR Dialogue, our general partner, Jace Rabe.
Hey, how are you guys?
How's it going, Jace?
Oh, it's good. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, so I gotta confess right off the bat that I have a compulsion for cashews, and it just so happens that Jace's business is all about cashews. But we, beyond that, his business is all about listening to the Lord. He's one of the best listeners that I know, and acting upon the call and the undeniable word of the Lord on his life. So, investors, you're in for a real treat in this discussion that we have for you today. Thanks for joining us.
Man, it's my pleasure to be here. And I'm glad you love cashews. That's my favorite type of person. I love
Yeah, so Jace, Doug and I know your story really well. We've known you for a few years. And so just to start off, can you just tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and how did you even get into the cashew business?
Oh gosh, it's a crazy story. How much time do I have here? I'll
As
start
much as you need, bro.
Work your way down. So my testimony intertwines into that. So
Okay.
I'll start there a little bit and then we'll move through it. But I was the first in my family to get saved, actually. So we were not like a Christian family. We didn't even play church. And I actually appreciated that with my dad. Like there was at one point in time, I don't know how old I was, but he looked at us and was like, why are we even doing this church thing? Like we go to like Easter and Christmas because we felt like we had to.
Yeah.
He's like, this isn't who we are, so we're just not going to do it anymore. I actually appreciated that with him because we weren't playing a religion. So that's really the story of my life until I was like 23 years old. I knew there was something on me. I couldn't put language on it about the ability to make money. And I loved it. And it's when you look back, right, 2020, when you can look back and see how God has a calling on your life, but you don't know that, how Satan can come in and just kind of pervert that. So from an early age, my ability to make money, I mean, I was doing hot dog stands and brownie stands and all types of stuff. But, it was God was there. I just didn't know it. But Satan started to pervert that. And I fell in love with money. Fast forward to college, okay? I would wear three-piece suits in college. I mean, who's doing that? I had dollar bill and cent cufflinks. I had suspenders that had dollar bill signs. I used to iron my money.
Wow, so money was your thing.
100%.
Wow.
Thought, end all, be all, this is my thing, this is who I am. There's a movie, it's in the 80s, date myself, I'm mid-40s, but it's called Wall Street. I know they have a new Wall Street, but this is the old school Wall Street with Michael Douglas. I'm not advising your listeners, it's a terrible movie, but I'm not advising them to go watch it. But if they have seen it, or if they haven't seen it, I'll give you the high level. There is a gentleman, Michael Douglas plays a character called Gordon Gekko. Okay, Gordon Gekko is a corporate raider. This is the Wall Street greed of the 80s, right? He was the villain of the film. He would go in and cut companies and make them super profitable and all this. The end of the story is like this bright-eyed young kid comes who is a mentor and basically flips Gordon Gekko on his head, and we're supposed to like vilify Gordon Gekko and praise the others, and that's how, riding out in the sunset, everything's good, corporate greed bad. I idolized Gordon Gekko. Idolized. I made a declaration at 8 years old. Get this.
8 years old.
8 years old. 8 years old. I watched that movie at 8 years old. Again, no Christian home, so this is R-rated. There's no filter in my house. Okay, no filter in my house. 8 years old, made the declaration, I cannot wait to be in the position of power to fire somebody.
Wow.
8 years old.
Wow.
Fire somebody.
Wow.
Right? So that was my life. Like I worked and worked. I had coming out of college, I had a job offer, take over a company. They were going to start me out at $100,000 plus commission. Like it was incredible. Okay. In the basement of my boss's finished basement, I was doing an internship in Chicago. I get radically saved. Meet God. Like he just showed up. Paul on the Damascus road where God just shows up, it just speaks to my heart. That's exactly what happened. God just showed up. I gave my life to Jesus right there and then had to go read the gospel, like what just happened. Like it was a radical transformation. Like it was just, God just captured my heart. So I thought that was what all Christians experienced. I remember going to church my first time. I walked into church and, they start doing praise and worship and they're just like clapping. And I'm looking around thinking, this isn't the same God that just met me in my basement. Like, I don't know where we're at here, but this isn't that. So eventually God's taken me to Africa and has used my business skills, God's skills, actually just using me, to launch a cashew factory. And glad Doug loves cashews, so he's the one
Love 'em.
to keep us going. But yeah, I could go on to this forever, but I know there's other questions and we're
That's an amazing testimony and a great story, Jace. We certainly appreciate it. It kind of tells us a little bit about who you are and where your heart is. And here on the DR Dialogue, we talk a lot about investing with your head, investing with your heart. But what we're really feeling God's call is to invest in your identity. What is your identity? So, have you done any work in that area? I mean, tell me what you think. I mean, since that time in the basement, how has God said, this is my gift to the world? In other words, my identity, and how has that been refined on the journey?
Boy, that's such a good question. It's multifaceted, and it's like God gives me new layers of my identity and shows me. It's like a chapters in a book, right?
Sure.
Like I know there is this identity that God's given me, but He gives me new chapters and revelations to go deeper in that. Really, I mean, not to sound like churchy or cliche, but like I am a disciple of Jesus and a child of God. And it has taken me, even that statement, and I know that can be very churchy, but it has taken me years to get there because I mean, I found so much value in money, so much value in work. Like I have to work, like even getting saved, and God just showed up in the basement. I didn't work to get him into my basement. I didn't want doing enough Bible study. He just showed up. But God has had to consistently carve off of me this somehow workspace, like I'm trying to earn it. Like I gotta work, like rest equals laziness. Like there's been, where I'm at today, 2025, here in August, I'm big on spiritual, you guys know me, you hear me talk about it all the time, spiritual discipline, spiritual formation.
Yeah.
How to minister to a business world, specifically entrepreneurs. I know there's corporate, but I'm not corporate. I've never been corporate, right? So it's tough for me to relate sometimes to corporate. But how to minister to entrepreneurs, not teaching them how to become a better entrepreneur, but building the foundational spiritual disciplines that they can anchor in and let then God do the power in their lives. So I really feel like that's a calling, an identity, kind of all wrapped up in one.
Yeah.
God is using me, hopefully, to show other entrepreneurs that it's not just about the glamour and the glitz and this and that. Like it's so sexy to be an entrepreneur right now, which it's so easy to be an entrepreneur. Anybody can start a website for $500 and whatever. But I think it's the spiritual disciplines piece around that, a true, authentic relationship with Jesus.
Yeah.
In that,
Jason, tell me a little bit about how you would define success.
Oh, good. I've left that concept a long, long time ago, trying to, if I make so much money this week and then I find out that somebody else made 15 times that, then does that suddenly say that, God's not blessing me or I didn't make money?
Yeah.
Our pastor would often say, searching for significance over success. I think for me, to define success can become a temptation back to my Gordon Gekko days, power suits and this and that, versus, where is God positioning me to have significance and impact in somebody's life? Whether that's a customer, whether that's one of my suppliers, whether that is one of my employees. The small pieces that I think, we look at scripture, like Like, I mean, everything, the planting or the mustard seed, these small, insignificant things, maybe that God's using me in people's lives that I have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow, but it's about significance really over success. So I don't know if that answers your question. It's just,
No, it's a further cut on the same, giving us a new facet on a way to look at it. So in that vein, then how are you taking that mentality into your investing world, where you now place your money, invest your money, utilize the money that you've been called to steward for significance or for impact, as you said, given your
I mean,
identity as a
it's,
child of God.
from an investment standpoint, traditional avenues, I mean, the stock market and Roth IRAs and, I mean, I do that, overfunded life insurance policies. I do a lot of that I'd say traditional stuff that maybe I don't know, is probably supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I struggle with the concept of like life insurance because my hand's in God's hands, so like me to like buy a premium on that. But I mean, again, so I do all those traditional things.
Mhm.
I think investment today, for us, God has really. I've always been a risk taker. I think just from an early age, even though I calculate things very well, like I have a high tolerance for risk. Um, so I mean, where we put our money now is either back into the businesses. Like I enjoy the stock market, I enjoy this, but I also like putting the money into the things that like I'm active in.
Yep.
That I'm active in and
There you
investing in
go.
businesses of like the story of the entrepreneur. I love meeting with entrepreneurs and seeing that passion that they have. I mean, that's the old Warren Buffett, you're investing in the people and not the idea, right? You invest in the right people, the rest kind of takes care of itself. So
Yeah. So to kind of piggyback on that, because I totally understand what you're saying. Instead of going more of the traditional route for investing, you feel that you're being led to invest more so into where God has called you,
100%.
right? With your companies and what you're doing. So now that you're doing that, I think the investors we're talking to on this podcast would say, if I look at the metrics and I'm investing with my head,
Yeah.
they would say that's the riskier move,
Right.
right? It's riskier to invest in a cashew processing facility as opposed to an IRA or some retirement fund. When did you realize that it is actually safer to invest in the risky thing as opposed to investing in the traditional methods that we all think are safe?
Right.
Kind of when did that flip for you?
I think as I have learned the concept of discipleship and stewardship,
Okay.
what I mean by that is if I'm speaking to a Christian investor and not a Christian in name, like a Christian that really is going after Jesus, like is living their life in pursuit of God. The flip for me kind of came from, okay, if I'm called to steward my resources well, steward this earth well, if stewardship's the name of the game and I'm submitting, Jesus Christ is discipling me, then my resources, my investments, my time, my talents should follow that same source. Now, I mean, it's clear God can use the mammon of the world, right? But for me, like I want to make investments that actually have impact, that I want to make investments with entrepreneurs that have integrity, right? When I just throw it into the stock market or a stockbroker or whatever, yeah, that might be safer, but that's what the world's told you. But we're not of the world, right? The reality is, like, I want to make the investments into the companies and businesses that are really going to have an impact. Because if I really trust in God and I'm really listening to God and He's giving me these opportunities, God owns it all, anyways, right? So I sometimes I feel like, especially investors, especially people that have a lot of money, I feel like they can claim they're listening to God, but the megaphone in their ear is like the world, and that's what they're following, the knowledge of the world, when in fact it's the wisdom of God. Two big differences. Knowledge you can learn, wisdom is downloaded, it's an innate understanding of things.
Yeah, no, that's so good.
That's
we
pure gold.
Yeah,
Pure
that's
gold.
really good. And I want to hone in on something you talked about. I want to put my money where I can make an impact, where I can tangibly see it. And I want to talk about your cashew processing facility in Benin, Africa, for just for a moment, because you've told Doug and I this story, and I think we should share with our listeners about how you actually measure the impact that you're making.
Oh,
And you told us the story about, I believe it's mopeds.
yeah.
It's mopeds. So just share with our listeners how you have been able to observe the impact that you're making through your cashew processing facility with the mopeds and your workers.
Yeah, so we have our normal KPIs, key performance indicators, that we're monitoring broken percentage and rates of efficiency and this and that. And honestly, I like that. I can geek out on that because I love numbers, but that can kind of be sleepy town. I mean, if you look at it all the time, like Henry Ford says, manufacturing should be a boring business, right? That's the mark of a good manufacturer is what the outputs are going to be. I have a whole series of KPIs that gets me excited, and it's things like when we first started the business. Now I know this is foreign to people here, especially the audience mainly is in the U.S. Concept of not having a car, but in the third world and majority of the other parts of the world, having a car would be unbelievable.
Right.
Having a motorcycle would be unbelievable. Having a bike would be a big blessing. Most people are just walking along on their 2 feet. So when we first started the company, a handful of our employees, we have 600 employees, a handful of those employees had their bicycles or their motorcycles, and they would drive up and they would park. And we didn't even have a designated area because it's like we could park 2 motos somewhere. Over the years, we've had to create a designated parking lot, and it's just gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. There's hundreds of motorcycles in there. And now we've had to open it up because now people have cars. And now, and I apply these same key KPIs to our farmer networks, right? We have 7,000 farmers in our network. I have a whole staff that monitors, are the farmers' kids in school? Were they in school last year? Right? And we monitor the steps up in in their living standards, right? I mean, do they have a house, and now they've built a house and their kids in school and now they have access to medical care? Like, those are the types of things I love to measure because that's impact. Like, that's kingdom.
Right.
That's kingdom. Broken percentage, yes, that has to happen for my business to work, but there's no fun in that.
No.
Like, I don't get excited about, my broken percentage is down 0.2% for this month. No, I love it to see that the kids, the farmers' kids who weren't in school last year have been enrolled this year.
Right.
Right. Those are the exciting pieces.
Wow. And so I think, that's what we talk. That's what we talk about here on DR Dialogue. That's why Doug and I call it double result dialogue. Because not only are you making a profit and you're making revenue, you are literally changing the lives of those that work for you because you're reinvesting your investment dollars in your business.
Absolutely.
That's so good. So good.
It is so good.
And God will handle the profit. He'll handle the loss. He'll handle any and the above. Where I think he's looking is for obedience, right? And I think where he's looking for is you to be the salt and the light. We read all these scriptures about being a change agent and this and that. He's looking for faithful Christians to affect a world that doesn't know him. Whether that's through me selling cashews or you guys doing your fund and this podcast, whatever that is, it's like whatever God has called us to do, if we're just faithfully step out. So it's investors, like, instead of holding on to this money and like saying, us four and no more, and I can't lose it, and because I've built, the common thing there is you're using the word I way too much. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the reality is, if it's really of God, if you really call yourself a Christian and a disciple of Jesus Christ, the hand needs to open up and let God direct where the money goes.
Hey listeners, thank you for joining us for part 1 of our conversation with Jace Rabe. We're going to split this up into part 2, so please be sure to join us for that conversation.